Hey everyone, this is Joshua Kirk here with you once again. Now it's time for episode 181 of Album of the Day. And of course, some of you may know that it's getting incredibly close to Christmas. There's only 9 days left until that day. Of course, that's coming. That's coming next Monday. Hopefully, I hope some of you have a great holiday season and whatnot, and all that stuff. But anyway, I'm just gonna get on to the review. So today's band are a Ohio-based indie rock outfit out of Cincinnati, now pretty much from Brooklyn, New York, who have turned from a kind of obscure sort of underground sort of like indie band into one of the most definitive and successful bands of indie rock, if you've been following it around the mid-2000s and thousands. So, of course, the band that I'm talking about here for this video is The National. Been around since 1999, have released over 7 studio albums, including this one that I'm going to talk about today, which is their latest album, just recently came out on September the 8th, 2017. The album is called Sleep Well Beast. Excuse me. And The National is definitely a band that I do have a pretty soft spot for, ever since listening to their previous record, Trouble Will Find Me, in 2013. Definitely probably in my top 5 of 2013. It definitely was a great record. I definitely was pretty drawn to the to the rather kind of bleak, heartbreaking lyrics, as well as Matt Berninger's kind of low baritone kind of voice, as I'm definitely a junkie for baritone vocals. And definitely some really nice arrangements on there. And from there I kind of went on to really get into the band's catalog. So this is their latest album, Sleep Well Beast, and I would say it's actually my #1 album of the year, so expect a boldly positive review coming at you right here. Of course, this is the vinyl copy that I have of it here. There was definitely no way I couldn't get this LP on vinyl. I'm definitely very excited. I was definitely very excited to hear this album. Anyway, really nice gatefold right there. And then it's got this insert, which has all the lyrics and liner notes and everything you need to know about who produced it and who played what and stuff like that. And then these are just some photos from the studio. And this is double LP. It's over an hour long across 12 songs, so it's over 58 minutes long. Anyway, this is side A, and then side B, of course, this is LP #1. And then for the second LP, here's side C and side D. And that's the vinyl for The National's latest record, Sleep Well Beast. And I do think it is really cool how the album cover of this record is actually the studio where they cut this album, which is in a little farm over in Aaron Dessner's farm, new farm in Hudson Valley, New York. which was not only intended to be kind of a new home for his family, but also like it seemed like kind of oasis for his band. So that's why they ended up recording this album there. So like I said, Trouble Will Find Me, definitely have a pretty soft spot for that record, as it is the first national record that I ever got to listen to, and from there I went on to check out more of their catalog, so definitely really like albums like Alligator, Boxer, which is like my personal favorite in their discography, and High Violet 2 is definitely a great record, definitely a very ambitious record for them musically, probably some of the biggest arrangements they've worked over in the history of their career. Now, it's been 4 years since their last record came out, but, you know, finally, we're here with Sleep Well Beast, the 7th studio album in their catalog, and I would say this, I'm going to make a pretty bold statement right here. Sleep Well Beast, in my opinion, is probably the Nationals' second best album. I mean, I'd say second because Boxer would still have to be my favorite record in their discography. But something about this album definitely is just a really good, like, progressive, grand, beautiful, well-written, emotional, and just overall very, just fantastic record right here. The opening track is called Nobody Else Will Be There, which is definitely a very beautiful opener for the record, which right off the bat sort of introduces us to like a kind of what sounds like a drum machine, but I think it's actually Aaron Dessner, like you know, tapping on his guitar, creating this little this really cool kind of beat for the song that really drives it really well, and then following that, Aaron Dessner's very beautiful piano part over that. And then we get Matt Berninger's baritone vocal coming in, really introducing this kind of bleak sort of atmosphere, but still at the same time it sounds very inviting and gorgeous, pretty much. Like I love how unique the piano melody sounds on this track. And it sort of lyrically kind of introduces, like, listening to the lyrics of this album, this does sound like a bit of a concept album, a little bit. I mean, even though the beast that Matt Berninger may be referring to throughout this album is like something of a mystery, I would say. Let's see. And really nice extra instrumentation that eventually sweeps in, like really nice strings in that song. And definitely a great way to open the album. And I was definitely really excited to hear this album upon hearing some of the teaser tracks that were leading up to it. Like the second track, Day I Die. I mean, just an incredible song. Definitely one of the catchiest, hookiest songs on the entire album. I mean, Aaron Dessner's guitar line in the song just really does a good job of instantly kind of pulling you in and really captivating the listener and making them want to sing along with the hooky chorus of the song. Like, it definitely has a very strong sense of catharsis, making this definitely by far one of the Nationals' greatest songs yet, pretty much. His songs yet. And I like how he also makes references to, like, his great uncle, Valentine Jester, sort of making reference to his song Val Jester off of the national record Alligator. Alligator and stuff like that, and definitely a song that lyrically definitely has a sense of like a catharsis to it that I do really like a lot. And of course, there's the first single, "The System Only Dreams in Total Darkness," which is Darkness, which definitely was a song that right off the bat definitely had me really excited for this album. And it definitely has a bunch of really cool elements in there too, including Aaron Dessner's kind of gnarly, almost kind of bluesy riff on the track. Definitely sounded very nice alongside the kind of driving beat and so beat, as well as the piano and the horns as well. Really seeing the National once again really taking their skills and their maturity and whatnot to the next level here, pretty much. And it has a great hook on the song too, and of course Matt Berninger comes through with some of his very memorable lines, including lines like "No other faith is light enough for this place. We said we'd only die of lonely secrets," and really gorgeous female backup vocals on the track too. It's definitely overall just a 10 out of 10 track with very little flaws in it. And that guitar solo in the middle sounds fantastic, along with the kind of jazzy electric piano part that comes in towards the end. We have some songs on here that feature some kind of odd electronic sort of edges to it. By far, it's one of the National's more ambitious records, as they do dive into like electronic and disco music a little bit with this album, like with the song "Walk It Back," which definitely has pretty prominent synth arpeggios that kind of play throughout the song. And it definitely introduces by far some of the like darkest, most kind of like melancholy lyrics on the entire album, as he's talking about like mixing weed with wine until things are less insane and whatnot, and sort of kind of tell himself that he better walk it back. And the song even features a bit of a spoken word passage that's sampled, from an article from the New York Times, which is called "Faith, Certainty, and the Presidency of George W. Bush," which ends with a line of, like, "I can't stay here," which beautifully sort of symbolizes what the last few lines are about. And I also do like the kind of processed vocal samples in the background, as well as the kind of strange guitar sounds that occur in the background. Then we have "Born to Beg," which has a gorgeous piano melody that's punctuated really well with some electronic elements, with a kind of atmospheric drum machine, as well as the kind of processed vocoder vocals in the background, which I can tell that Justin Vernon, aka Bon Iver, had a hand in production on this track because of his, because in the chorus, those really beautiful sort of like processed vocal harmonies that occur in the chorus, as well as the vocoder in the bridge. And it definitely does feature some pretty powerful melancholy lyrics. There's like that line in the bridge of "I'd cry, crawl, I'd do it all. Tea kettle love, I'd do anything." I mean, that's pretty bleak right there, Matt Berninger. And I love how diverse the set of songs on here is too. There's the song Turtleneck, which is by far like the heaviest song on the album, which it has a bit of a punk rock sort of tone to it. Some awesome guitar playing on the track. Definitely some of Brian Devendorf's best drumming on the entire album is on this song too. Really showing off his skills as a drummer. I like how with his drumming he doesn't use a whole lot of cymbal. It's definitely more like actual drums and like cymbal, which I do think is pretty cool. And this song definitely is actually pretty funny if you take a look at the lyrics a little bit. It sort of takes a kind of bleak situation and whatnot and makes it sound a lot more satirical and actually kind of hilarious and hilarious stuff like that. And and listening to the second verse, I can tell that the song is also kind of taking a jab at like our modern politics and like our current president a little bit and stuff like that. And I do like how the extra instrumentation kind of complements it. You have the piano that's really intense and doing the dun 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 dun, like doing that strange sort of deep sort of tone that really complements it really nicely. The song Empire Line kind of introduces the more kind of elongated sort of conceptual side of the album. And it does it really well too, and and this time we kind of really get to the gist of kind of the message of this album. Like there's this other character that's like with this guy who's like been sleeping for miles, but like the narrator is still feeling kind of uneasy and sort of wondering how that significant other managed to make that happen, because I'm kind of a mess right now. And it definitely does a good job of sort of slaying me with lines that I didn't quite expect, like, here the sky's been falling, white flowers, and there's ice in all the trees. And definitely one song that really does represent the electronic influence that's incorporated into the album really beautifully, I think. So basically it kind of sounds like sorrow with a nice groove is how I would describe it for sure. And another song where I do really like the kind of the processed audio samples that kind of occur kind of suddenly and like accidentally, but still somehow manage to work here. Then we have I'll Still Destroy You, which is one song that I do really like, the really kind of lush organic instrumentation on here. It's got kind of a jungle feel to it a little bit with the finger-plucked guitars, as well as the marimba definitely does sound really nice on there too. And also I do really like the very kind of unique textures to the beat on this track too. And I'll Still Destroy You kind of is a pretty important part to the album because of kind of the story that it's telling throughout. And I do really like some of his lines, like, the sky is getting white, I can't find a lighter anywhere, I'm going crazy, but I'm not crazy. Pretty clever right there. And I also do really like how it gets real chaotic at the end, and then the strings and then the strings at the end get real intense, and it's definitely a beautiful little moment where everything kind of falls apart, but it really works. Really works. So it's like wonderfully messy at the end. And following that, the song "Guilty Party," which was the second teaser track released for the album. Definitely a quieter sort of teaser track as opposed to the more energetic System Only Dreams in Total Darkness, but still nonetheless compelling. With Aaron Dessner puts on a gorgeous riff. So on a really gorgeous riff, and the extra instrumentation does sound really nice. I mean, some really nice horn parts on the track, which it sounds kind of like a trumpet, but I think it's actually like a flugelhorn, which is like a much lower than a trumpet, but definitely pretty similar. The strings sound really beautiful on the track too. And Matt does deliver a kind of hushed, whispered performance that still has plenty of impact to it to make it memorable. And while this is kind of a bleak song, it also does have a sense of optimism to it, which I do like. Like the line of "It's nobody's fault, no guilty party. I just got nothing left to say." And then we have Carin at the liquor store, which of course this song gets its name from Matt Berninger's wife, Carin Bessner, who kind of also helps him like write the lyrics and stuff like that. And definitely really beautiful, like, ballad, a little more straightforward than some of the other songs presented here on the album, but still definitely one that is just downright gorgeous, and really does see Matt Berninger really maturing as a lyricist here too. And the piano melody is really beautiful, and of course really cool guitar solo in the middle. And so it kind of makes sense. This song was actually like, I think it was like the third teaser track that was out for the record. Maybe "Day I Die" was before that. I don't know, but either way, this is definitely a very gorgeous track. And he definitely once again slays me with lyrics like, "I was walking around like I was the one who found dead John Cheever, hand and glove." Then we have the song "Dark Side of the Gym." Wonderful title, by the way. I definitely think some of the song titles are definitely really cool, like "The System Only Dreams in Total Darkness," along with this song, "Dark Side of the Gym," which let me tell you this, they couldn't have come up with a better title for this song. Because it definitely does have some, kind of a bleak, dark situation where this guy tries to get together with a girl who is just at her gym, but she's but instead she's planning on doing something else with her friends, stuff like that. But despite the bleak situation, the narrator still promises that he's gonna keep her in love with him for a little while. And it also definitely does have an interesting little lyrical curveball with the line of "Dreaming of anonymous castrati singing from the trees, and the first man and the first lady singing to us from the sea." And I do think some of the instrumentation incorporated at the end of the song is definitely really nice. I do really like the kind of fluttering flutes as well as the strings sound really nice on there too, and nice on there too. Really introducing the orchestral arrangements here really nicely. And I do like some of the little skip edits in that part too that make the song that kind of sees things kind of getting cracked a little bit, but still at the same time coming together to create something very beautiful. And the female backup vocals are really nicely incorporated here too. And then it closes with the title track, Sleep Well Beast, which is definitely a pretty big milestone in their career, if you ask me. Not only because of all the instrumentation incorporated, but also this is by far the longest song the National has ever recorded. Like, this song, along with Cardinal Song from the album Sad Songs and Dirty Lovers, are by far the two longest cuts the band has ever recorded, pretty much. But this song definitely does close the album on just the perfect note, for sure. It's sort of concluding the whole sort of conceptual story of the album. And I do think it is interesting how the song sounds pretty similar musically to the song Guilty Party, because apparently some of the loops that were used in that song are incorporated in there too, like the drum loop and even the guitar line. But then it's also we also have overall that a kind of low sort of a kind of low suspicious flute sound on there, as well as some strings, and really cool kind of raggedy guitar solo that occurs in the middle. So this song definitely has kind of a loose vibe. By far one of the looser tracks on the record musically, but it definitely does sound really nice. Really nice, and it is quite satisfying to hear Matt Berninger kind of basically just kind of groan at the end. I'll still destroy you someday. Sleep well, beast. You as well, beast. Well, beast. Definitely some very poetic lyrics. Lyrics like, I'll see you at the end of the party with your wild white eyes, filling up a teacup with gin and your secret postcard life. Sort of making reference to the first song on the record, Nobody Else Will Be There. And I think this is a record that, considering what this song is about, I think this is an album where it makes the most sense if you listen to it, if you listen to the whole thing from front to back, in terms of, especially with the lyrics being rather kind of mysterious and whatnot. And the orchestral instrumentation at the end of this track sounds really nice too. So yeah, I definitely love this album. I mean, there's no clunker in there, no flaws whatsoever with this album. I mean, it's all like, it's definitely a perfect record for sure. For sure. I mean, most people would say like Kendrick Lamar's Damn, or like Lord's Melodrama is like the best album of the year or something like that. But in my personal opinion, the #1 album of the year definitely would have to go to this album, because it is just like such a it is just such a groundbreaking progression for them. And after hearing this album, I definitely see a really bright future ahead of this band in terms of what they're going to do next and all that. So this record, I'm going to make a bold statement. This record gets a perfect 10. 10, 10, 10. I love it that much. So anyway, that's my review of the new National record, Sleep Well Beast. I'll see you for episode 182, but my next video is going to be my top 50 albums of 2017.